Hello and welcome to this Tuesday, August 20th, 2019 episode of the Grab ATTN podcast. This is a Gary V Club podcast, and the purpose of today's episode is to talk about uh, the biggest differentiator, and it's work not plus tolerance. Now, here's what I mean. I'm going to give an example that happened to me today. I was working to go live. I had done my first podcast, was getting ready to do the next podcast, and it didn't work. I was having issues going live on both Facebook and YouTube. I contact Zoom support, hoping to find out this simple setting to change because the custom live streaming will always work as long as you can set it up, whereas the other live streaming just doesn't work properly sometimes because of cookies or whatever. They're just even restarting the computer, restarting things sometimes doesn't work. Sometimes I think it's just having to do with their system. But anyway, the differentiator, the problem is there's no real competition. They hold the monopoly, and it's really weird how horrible their customer support is. Now, their customer support is very tolerant. Fortunately, the customer support was fairly tolerant. I didn't get completely out of him, but my patience level, my tolerance was almost gone by the time, after over an hour. And then it was like the relief when I finally got the answer, and it should have only taken 2 seconds. But the problem was is that people wouldn't listen to what I was saying. They're like, "Oh yeah, this is just another moron that doesn't have live streaming set up. Here's how you set up live streaming." Well, when you're a moron like that, then people believe you are a moron, and then they stop listening properly. If you don't listen to people properly, that's the biggest thing. When you're in customer support, these are the differentiators. Gary listens, and a lot of times he knows what you're going to say before you're going to say it. Whereas, like, if I'm comparing Gary V to Zoom, well, they don't know what you're saying even when you're telling them. I had to figure out my own problems. I had to provide solutions. I said, well, how about this? How about this? How about this? They couldn't come up with solutions on their own. Their engineer couldn't come up with solutions on his own. He's like, I just need this information from you. Oh, well, how do I change that myself? Because that's what I need. Oh, yeah, it's just go here and go here. And I'm irritated. And you can see, and I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to be derogatory. I'm not trying to be abusive. But we all need to step up. And there are times when certain people can't comprehend certain things. There are varying levels of mental capacities. We need tolerance. And that's something that Gary has more than anything. He has zero expectations of anyone, really. He has expectations of the people he pays, but he doesn't, he just doesn't put that much into people. He understands that, yes, if I hire you to do a job, you need to do that job. But on the other hand, he understands that people mess up and that there's a higher chance of failure than there is success. And that's something I really struggle with my own tolerance. Between Comcast and Zoom, I mean, I've dealt with a lot of customer service representatives. I've been a customer service representative. And I think that everyone, not everyone, that's a very overgeneralized, because I posted some negative stuff about Comcast, and then one of my Facebook friends said, "Hey, it's not as bad as you think. I was able to change my experience with them." And he's a life coach, and I think we probably can change our experiences. Because now I canceled my account. That's how far it went. It got so far with Zoom that I said, "Okay, forget it. You're not helping me. I want to cancel my account." Because they said, because I was trying to talk to a supervisor as well, and they said, "Well, if you're I'm on a," I actually can't remember the exact order. But at one point they said, "If you want faster service, call support." So I call support. I keep getting hung up on. Well, support, if you call, it's just a never-ending loop of getting hung up on. And if you could call billing or sales, you can get people, but there's no support, I guess, unless you're like a high-paying customer over the phone. And this person told me to call. I don't know why they did, but more incompetence, really bad training, really poor training. And it was like not just one, but two different instances. I think in the one instance, the guy changed the setting and then it worked for me, and then he changed it back. I might be wrong, it may be a coincidence, but this is the thing. You got to have tolerance. And that's something I'm really working on, because it doesn't help me to get frustrated. As frustrated as I did. I was very frustrated. And it's because of incompetence. And I don't like surrounding myself with incompetence, because it's something that can be changed. It doesn't have to be that way. And it's a problem that needs to be solved. So, being too disturbed and frustrated, you just got to shift that into solutions rather than problems. That's what's a key differentiator. Being able, Gary, he said he's very non-confrontational. I don't think he like blows up on people and stuff like, Steve Jobs did. He's he talks about this. He talks about being nice and empathetic. The empathy is a big thing. And understanding, I've been in the experience where I've done stupid things. I'm like, "Oh, why was I so stupid?" And it's embarrassing. But there's a difference between doing it occasionally and having a culture of it. And if Zoom wasn't, I mean, the only reason Zoom is what they are is because they're the only ones that offer what they offer. If there was a competitor, people wouldn't stick around, because if you're just doing basics, yeah, it's not going to be buggy. But if you start using the paid features and really getting into it, you start noticing how buggy it is. And then if you contact their support, you'll understand how bad their support is. Now, I'm not saying it's complete garbage, because you can get some good answers sometimes, and I would say there are probably more good experiences than bad experiences. But the key differentiator, one thing Zoom did really well in this experience was they said, "Look, let's solve this problem." And they got me an engineer finally, after about an hour. The engineer tried calling me, and then eventually the engineer just joined the chat. We chatted it out, found the solution. Tolerance is so key. And when the other side is just freaking out, you've got to stay calm as a cucumber. And you've got to really make that person feel like they are being heard, and like you are going to help solve their problem. That's the key differentiator. I hope you understand what differentiates people. It's the humanity. It's the positive mental attitude. And Gary's got it. Gary really is showing it and helping to show people. Yes, he can be a jerk at times in the way he says things, but you can tell he says it from a loving place. Check out inspirelansing.com if you haven't already. happyherostudio.com as well. If you start at inspirelansing.com, it sends you through. So you start at inspirelansing.com, then you're on happyherostudio.com, then you're at the square up page, which can be, you can fast forward yourself to that by just going to happyherodeposit.com. The reason I'm talking about this is because while I expect nothing from you with this podcast, I'm doing these podcasts for a purpose, and that's to attract the right partners, customers, employees, and investors into what I'm working on. So thank you for listening. Have a great day.